Do-do-do-do, it's Chemdork.
Hello everyone, this is Chemdork, and welcome to episode 6 of our Kerbal Space Program playthrough, where today is a landmark episode. We're going to be landing on Minmus. So it's our first landing on some place that isn't the planet Kerbin. Hooray! And, ooh, I'm so scared! But actually, don't be scared. Don't worry. It can be difficult to land on somewhere else other than Kerbin. But if you know kind of the basics, it's actually pretty easy. And specifically, we picked Minmus because Minmus is a local and very easy place to land on. It is easier than the moon. This is why we're landing here first. Then we'll land on the moon. Not in this flight, though. Today's episode, we're just going to be landing on Minmus, and hopefully we have enough fuel here. We might. To make like a little land and then hop to a different biome in Minmus, because I'd like to get as much science as I can. So right now we are hanging out, just floating above the beautiful, one of the beautiful flat areas of Minmus, which is going to be our first landing zone. It may not be right here. It'll be in a flat zone like this. We just happen to be in a place where I could just right now land and show you how to do it, but I kind of want to show you like as if you're in orbit and trying to select the place that you want to land, like kinda. But generally speaking, landing is really just taking off in reverse, and it is literally taking off in reverse. So let's think about this for a second. So when we were taking off, we were standing straight up, and we launched, right? We imparted thrust in a vertical position, and then we started to turn, and then we turned and we held it at 45 degrees for a while until we had our good height, and then we coasted for a while, and then we turned and burned horizontally for a while to increase our horizontal velocity to get into orbit. When we land, we're going to be going, the opposite way, but effectively we're going to be pointed in the same direction because we're just doing everything about lifting off and getting into orbit in reverse. You burn horizontally first to slow your horizontal velocity down, then you kind of tilt a little bit. You don't have to do it at 45 degrees, and this burn is quite short, but what it does is it slows down a little bit your vertical velocity. On Minmus, this burn is very short because it slows down a little bit your vertical velocity, but the point is you want to cut all your horizontal velocity, and then at that point you're falling straight down and you cut down the vertical velocity. Now again, just like taking off, it would be really nice and efficient if we could just do it all into one process, but usually it's at least a 2-burn process, and I think in fact the first time they landed on the moon they did basically a similar way. So we're going to do the same thing here, because as you know, we are going around Minmus. Right now we are in orbit of Minmus. There's our little orbit. It's not quite along the equator, which is good actually. You kind of want to have an orbit that's not completely equatorial around a planet, because the planet is spinning this way, and if you're going this way, you'll basically be able to target your orbit wherever you want, because you're going to be hitting pretty much every area of the planet from like here, say, to here. We're going to be hitting every area like that. So that's a good place to land. I think we're going to do it on the next pass though. So let's just increase. Well, actually, you know what? We're not in tracking station, but let's go ahead and just increase time here. We're going to do maybe the next time we loop around. So while we're increasing time here, I kind of describe a bit. We're going around in a circle, right? We're going around in orbit. Orbit is basically a circle. And what it is we have a velocity that's straight. If Minmus just suddenly disappeared, we would be just going straight. That's our horizontal velocity. That is our orbital velocity, which is 150. It's actually less than I thought. Meters per second. It's nothing, right? Slowing this down is going to be easy. We're gonna slow down right about here. So, but how do we curve? Well, the fact that we are curving is because Minmus is pulling us down. So there is a kind of a component down to our current velocity, our current way of traveling, and there's a horizontal component. And just like I was referring to before, landing is going to be keeping in mind that we have to cut down our horizontal component to 0 and then deal with our vertical component. And you kind of deal with both at the same time a bit, but for the most part, really you cut down your horizontal component first, then you go vertical. And luckily, we don't have like a counter here that specifically tells us what component of our velocity is vertical and what component is horizontal. We just have a speed indicator here. And this if you click it, you can have it in reference to the surface, but it doesn't tell you how fast you're going horizontally. It tells you, well, I mean, it kind of does a little bit, but not really, right? because it just tells you how fast you're approaching the surface or relative to the surface. And we're going to be using that, but what we're going to be using in particular is going to be our attitude indicator here. I believe this is essentially what it's called. And this attitude indicator has on it the prograde and retrograde vectors, and these are what are going to tell us, we're going to use these to tell us whether we're actually whether we have a horizontal component to our velocity. Because right now, our prograde is pretty much pointed right at the horizon, and so is the retrograde. So here's the retrograde, pretty much pointed right at the horizon, right? So if we just stick on the retrograde vector, we're pointing right at the horizon. When we're landing and we're going vertical, obviously this is going to be pointed straight up, which will be right here on where the one of the radial or anti-radial vectors is now pointing. And we'll know when we've cut all of our horizontal velocity when only thing that's acting upon us is the gravity of Minmus, really, right? So it'll be our retrograde vector will be pointed straight up. And that's how you know you've cut all horizontal velocity. It'll be easier to tell when we actually do it. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and prepare to land. So we're going to try to land like right in this area. It's in the sun. It's a good idea. And yeah, so let's speed up time a bit and wait until we get maybe around, like, in terms of Minmus, you don't have to be too far away. You can be we can be like right over this ridge, and then we can start our time here. We'll probably go until we get right about here. So let's go right until we get right about there. Plus we have communications now once again, so that's good. All right, so right about that ridge, that's pretty good. We're going to start first to point ourselves retrograde, and we're going to start... Oh, look at that. We have milestones around Minmus, etc. Okay, let's see. Let's start by pointing ourselves retrograde. Right now we're at an 11,000 meter, so 11-kilometer orbit around Minmus. So let's go ahead and point retrograde, and let's just put stability assist on. I don't want to hold retrograde the whole time. But let's just first start burning. So there we go. As we burn, we see that our where the orbit starts to cut into the planet. So right now we would just crash right here, which is bad. We wanna put it right about maybe here. So I want to land right about here, okay? Because in my second landing, I want to have pretty much on this mountain, I think. So the first landing, I want it to be right around here. I'm not gonna put the edge of this blue thing right there just yet, because I'm going to use a little bit of the time to cut my horizontal velocity all the way down. What I want to do is put it maybe around like right here first. So I'm just going to right about there. That's good. And then once I get close, maybe around here, then I'll cut it and then we'll start to fall. But as you notice, even still, as I pointed right here, you see this retrograde vector? It's now pointed just slightly above the horizon, right? It's not perfectly right there. And we are landing, by the way, so we're going to land, so that's where we want to do our second landing. Our first landing is going to be right around here. So let's go ahead and get the G key. It's very important we don't forget to lower our gear. And good, our communication thing is out right here. Oh, we entered orbital space flight above Minmus. We get some money and some science and stuff. That's pretty cool. And Jeb is happy, and at this point in time, we can do an EVA. And I think we'll do an EVA. I think just above Minmus's lowlands. Yeah, we're nice and close. That's nice. Let's see if we can do science above the lowlands here. Oops. We got to come back on. Hold on a second. Log pressure. I think we already got that one, but I'm sure we already have that one because it's space above Minmus. I'm sure we already have these guys. So let's EVA again, though. Let's take the data, let's take that data, let's take that data. I forgot what data we had. Let's go back in. Nah, it didn't give us the thing that says you already have it, so I think we're okay. Let's hold a retrograde once again. We're probably pretty close now. No, we're not. Let's keep on going. Oh, whoa, okay, whoa, we got farther. Okay, so right now, I want to slow myself down even further and cut all my horizontal velocity, and I'm going to do this by just pointing at the horizon and burning. And I'm just going to burn until I'm almost all done, and this is the last time we do a horizontal burn, right? So now we're going to do, right, remember, it is taking off in reverse, so now I'm just going to point myself a bit toward the horizon. This is almost where we're now kind of at 45 or so degrees. And I'm just going to slowly do a burn here. Now I do this burn a little bit But I do it mainly, the reason why we're pointed this way and do the burn is not actually because we absolutely need to cut down our vertical velocity. It's actually more so that I want to push this retrograde vector exactly on this dot, and I can't see it if I'm here horizontal. That's really the only reason. Otherwise, I would want to do a horizontal burn alone. So let's just keep on going until, there we go. So that's pretty good. And as you notice, we can right now we're falling pretty much straight down, right? So we're pretty much just going to land right there, right straight down where we are right here. Now we still have a little bit of a component of horizontalness. Oh, I should switch this to surface. I'm sorry. Now we definitely do. We want to get this right on that dot. How do we do it? Well, when we're pointed at the retrograde vector, you kind of, wherever you're pointing, if you start burning, you sort of push the retrograde vector directly away from you. So in order to put this retrograde vector on that dot, I want to actually position like right here, because then it's in a line toward that dot. You see the retrograde vector just sort of pushes away from you. It's a good skill to know now, but it's also a very good skill to know when we're going to be rendezvousing with a spacecraft. So right now we are going really actually quite slow, and we're not falling very fast at all, but we're getting there. We're gonna increase the speed a little bit. Now we do have to do one last burn, and what I would do is the most efficient way I can do this is what's called a suicide burn, which means burn full velocity, and then have it so that right when we reach 0 meters per second, we are at the surface. I don't know exactly when that is, and sort of, so we just have to kind of gauge. Let's look at our shadow right here and use that as a way to gauge where we're going. This is also the reason why you want to land, especially for the first time, in the sun. You kind of always want to land in the sun for that reason. Now we're going at 60. We are approaching pretty quickly here. Do I have enough fuel? I think I should be okay with enough fuel to get there. Yeah, let's start the burn now. We're probably gonna. There we go. So we're close now. I just want to keep my speed down a bit. It is very important we are at this surface, because otherwise we are not. Let's see, we're a little bit off there. Let's keep that. That's good. We're looking good. Looking really good. Okay, now we're getting pretty close. We're doing just a slow burn at the end. I like to do this, even though it is actually not that efficient to do it this way. But I don't care about efficiency. It's fine. We're okay. We're not. Whoa. Okay, a little bit too much. Just calm yourselves. Just a little bit of boop, and you float right up on Minmus. Come on, come down. Come on down. You see the prograde vector just popped in to say hello. But right now the retrograde vector's coming down. Coming down. We are a little off in terms of our horizontal velocity and everything, but that's okay. We want to be somewhere below 5 meters a second, although I like to be below 2, just to be fancy and nice and comfortable. But we are almost at the surface. And we're there! We're there! We did it, guys! Shut down the engines. We are on the surface of Minmus. Hooray! And now it's time for science. So, it is time for this guy. We're going to observe the goo. Let's observe the goo and keep that experiment. Let's observe the barometer. We get tons of science. We are from Minmus Greater Flats. And I think each one of these little flat areas is kind of a different biome on Minmus. Greater Flats, of course, temperature scan. Let's do a crew report because that's fun. And finally, let's do an EVA. And an EVA report, of course. So let's keep that experiment. Let's grab the science right away. And we will, of course, let's collect the data, even though we can't reset it. We're going to remove the data anyways, because just in case these things fall off in re-entry of the planet Kerbin, I want to make sure they're safe. The data is safe, I should say. And okay, we did an EVA report, but let's let go. Ooh. And you see, we just float down gently. Don't worry about it. We're going to be fine. See, there you go. Jeb's going to be just fine. Way to go, Jeb. You are going to do a flag planting right here. This will mark a momentous occasion in our program here. There we go. The Chemdork flag. It says this is the first landing. Hooray! First landing. Here marks a momentous occasion whereby Jeb landed on Minmus. It is green-ish and pretty flat. We bounce a lot here. Come back soon, Jeb. Okay. Excellent, and we can't collect samples yet at this point in time, but if we want to see a little better, we can always turn on his lights. He's got some lights there, so we can shine it on the other side of this flag, of course. Wait, what is? By the way, what is that? Oh man. Oh, okay. This is 1.3 version of Kerbal Space Program. It's actually a newer one of the preview updates because I have that turned on, and I don't know if it's going to break anything, but it looks a little different. Text looks a little different here, and yeah, it's a little different. Anyways, let's go back in. We're gonna now again. We don't have any ladder to get back, so that's could be a problem, right? Well, on other planets it is, on other places it is, but Minmus has so little gravity, we can almost just jump up. Look how far we go if we just jump. Jeb is amazing. He is Superman. But it's going to be difficult to grab that just by jumping. So wow, we can actually hurt ourselves if we do that. Let's hit the R key and turn on RCS, and we can use this as a little gentle way of coming up. In fact, we can even slow ourselves down. This is the way we kind of get around in space, and it's more or less like space with a little bit of gravity here, but you see we can gently come back here. So we can take data. I think we want to make sure we take that crew report, and just come back in, and it'll store all that data there. Jeb left his lights on, but that's okay. In fact, what we can do is we can turn the lights on in this thing and say, hello everybody. We'll turn the lights off though. So anyway, so we did one of those. We have another science thing to use, and for this, I'm gonna use it on that mountain, I think, right? I want to land on that mountain. In order to do that, let's go ahead and take off. Which way is it pointed? So, the other thing is kind of cool. We can point, I think it's, well, here you go. This mountain is to the west. So it is to the west here. And the west is, so that's the north. That would be east. West would be, okay, I'm sorry. North, south. You would think east-west, but actually, let's look again. Trust your instruments, guys. Trust your instruments. North, 45 degrees, 90 degrees is actually this way. So it is effectively down on this compass. It's this way. So it is, I'm sorry, it is, east is down, so therefore west is up. I'm sorry, I'm really confusing you guys. So it's north, 45, 90, 135, 80, 225, and this says 270, which would be west, which is that way, which makes sense because we're tilted towards basically that thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and take off and get there. We're just going to go a little bit. There we go, that's fine. Oh, we need to turn on SAS. And we just get a little bit to get us off the ground, and then let's just go a little bit here. So we don't even see anything yet. We don't see our apoapsis. It's just a bit high. We're gonna get on that mountain. Come on. We need to go a little bit north. North is this way, guys. So let's go ahead this way. We can go up a little bit too. All right. So that's cool. That's gonna get us there, right? So let's just go a little bit farther north, and that should be okay. Okay, so now we should use a lot of our cunning here now to try to land. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but let's go ahead and try it. So let's go ahead and try to go faster than something. Cannot go faster than 1x, so we just got to hang out until... So we're going above Minmus now. We're flying in Minmus. It's not really hard to do. You're just basically floating in space. And... all right, so here we go. Floating up, floating up. So guys, it's not that difficult to kind of get around Minmus. And in fact, on Minmus, we're not really gonna... It's really difficult to drive a rover because the gravity is so low. You see it's so bouncy that you hit one little bounce and you just get airborne. And it takes you forever to come down. So let's go ahead. Come on, time warp this sucker. All right, time warp, time warp. Let's time warp until we're at least at our apoapsis. Oh, here we go. Because once we're at our apoapsis, then we start going down, and then we can really use the retrograde marker. Okay, so we are over where we can land now. So we want to land here. Let's find our retrograde marker. It's going to be to the east. That's where it was before. So let's just point ourselves toward the horizon first, like we did before, and get that thing so we kill all of our horizontal velocity. I want to make sure I see... Oh, we need to turn it to surface. I'm an idiot. So let's kill all that horizontal velocity. It is pretty much gone, and there we go. Okay, so now we can kind of push it so that it's straight up and down, and there we go. And that's it. That's all we got to do. All right, now we just keep ourselves pointed toward that top part and wait until we fall down. So we're going at like 5,000 meters, but you see that's not gonna. This is a mountain, so we're gonna be a few thousand, some thousand meters up. So we are going to use our handy-dandy shadow to tell when we're close to the surface. So we're getting there. I'm kind of speeding up things a little bit here, but we're getting pretty close, right? I think we should. I think we should start to try to do a suicide burn of sorts. See, we're fine. Actually, it doesn't take us long to cut down. Just a few tens of meters a second. It doesn't take too long. All right, here we go. We're gonna do a harder landing than before, maybe. Yeah, let's just kind of let it go. I think we should be fine. Boink. A little bit bouncy, but we're good. There we go. We're good. We are on the surface and we are tilted just slightly, and that's kind of dangerous on Minmus because Minmus has such low gravity. But the good thing is that if you do fall down on Minmus, you can actually use your reaction wheels of your spacecraft to just kind of like turn yourself back up. It's not a big deal. All right, so we're gonna mystery goo from Minmus's midlands, which is cool. We are also going to be doing some pressure logging, some temperature logging, and a crew report, and an EVA. And the EVA will change our balance, so we have to be careful a bit. We're going to do a EVA report, and again, we are going to go down and plant a flag, because I think that gives us... Does it give us anything? Does it give us science? No, it doesn't, does it? Yeah, no, actually, we don't need to. No, we're not going to. But we are going to plant a flag, because I want to. Mountaineer. Jeb is a mountaineer. All right. Mount Jeb. It's the first mountain we landed. It's the first mountain where Jeb landed. So Jeb hereby records this mountain shall be named after him. There we go. Okay, we don't get anything for that, but it's fun. Okay, so let's use the RCS once again. We have to be on the ground to use it. Let's turn on our lights so it's a little easier to see. Whoa, stop it. Okay, there we go. Just the littlest bit of hint of things can get us there. All right, so now we're just about ready to go back into orbit. I think we got to take the data once again, and let's just go on board. Oh, we forgot to take this. That's fine. We'll take it in space. Yeah, we'll grab it in space. It's no big deal. Don't hit the G key now because I don't want to lift up my landing gear. But I do, however, want to get back into orbit. And how we get back into orbit is we're going to be going up a little bit, but just a little. We don't need much. And then we're just going to go mostly toward the horizon. We want to go toward the east, just like before. So we want to go basically this way around the planet once again, or around the moon. East is at 90 degrees, so it is effectively down on this attitude indicator. So let's go ahead. Turn on SAS and go. And I'm just going to immediately turn horizontally toward the horizon, and you see we only have to, just a little bit higher, we only have to get, see, look at that. It's already, our apoapsis is at 9,000, which is plenty. And what I can do is set this, we can even add a maneuver so that we are getting into orbit. So let's do that right now. Alright, so there we go. It's at 9,000, so let's set this about 9,000 or so, 10,000. It is above the mountain, so we'll be fine. That is going to be a 2-second burn, as you see, so it's not much at all. Now that's good because we don't have much fuel left, but we should have enough. So it's a node in 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's go ahead and speed this sucker up. And in fact, I think we could probably warp to the next maneuver. Hopefully it'll do this without going past the next maneuver. In previous versions of Kerbal Space Program, it used to have a tendency to go past your maneuver and not stop where you wanted it to. It seems to be pretty good this time around. So we are going to be here. I'm just going to speed up so that we get closer, 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 closer. It doesn't really matter. I don't have to be exact whatsoever here. We're just going to actually get rid of my maneuver node, and I'm just going to fire until I get... There we go. Okay. close enough. This is an orbit, and there it is. It's an orbit. Hooray, we are in orbit. So now let's get back from Minmus to the planet Kerbin. Here's Kerbin. There's the moon, of course. The moon's over here. We might actually get an encounter with the moon coming back. I'm not going to worry about that, though. I'm going to try not to get an encounter with the moon. It's going to just take us off course. But just like before, so we have to look where Kerbin is. We want to go back towards it. So basically anywhere around here you can start to do a prograde burn. I am going to go past where I am because I don't want to set my maneuver right in front of where I am, because that way I can't do the maneuver. So let's just do a prograde burn right here. Whoa, get rid of that. There we go. Let's keep on going until we get something that is relatively Kerbin-y. Okay, there we go. So 15 million meters out, that gives us. It's not that much, but we're still at, see, it's only 120 meters per second change in velocity, or delta V as it's called. 5-second burn, that's not much at all, so we don't need much fuel here. We're going to be totally fine. This is it's bringing us quite close. There we see, I told you we got an encounter with the moon. We actually don't want that though, so let's keep going. We should get something that is, there we go. Much better. Okay, there it is. Let's keep going, keep going, keep going. And here I like to be pretty efficient with it. So what I do is I get it kind of somewhere close-ish, and then I just adjust this until, whoa, see? Yeah. Until it disappears. And we can get back our periapsis. There we go. We can go a little less on that. We can go continually less on that. Yeah, we can go continually less on that. Let's speed up time. I want to see what the area is around here. So right now this is going to get us, let's see, that's looking pretty good actually. This is probably going to be right where we want to be. There we go. I mean, you don't have to be crazy on this. This is now a 7-second burn that get us there. If you're not that efficient, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Oh, wait. Oh, we're going farther out that way. Hold on. Do. Oh, there it is. Okay, we want to be somewhere like... So somewhere like... here we go. We actually want to be like under 50, under 30, basically. Hold on. I'm so particular. There we go. We got one. It's about 20. 18, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to warp to the next maneuver. It is 11 seconds burn, so not much. We have plenty of fuel to do that. And even if we don't have enough fuel to slow us down a bit, at the end we should be okay. We'll be coming in kind of hot, though, but that's okay. It's going to be fine. We don't have much of a vessel we don't have a big, heavy re-entry thing to worry about, so we're going to be fine. All right, so going all the way around the planetoid Minmus. So you see, guys, it's not actually that difficult to land, right? It's actually not that difficult to land somewhere like that. It's not like landing a plane. That was kind of difficult, but especially in this game because we don't have like a joystick or anything like that going on here. I guess I could use a joystick, but I don't. And we are nearly there to start our burn to the way home. We are more or less pointed where we need to be. Let's just adjust this just slightly, and let's continue until we are close enough. There we go. And here we go. And we are going to hold that. I'm going to get rid of that and just watch my periapsis go. We will probably get an encounter with the moon, and then it comes right back. Alright, so that was a little encounter with the moon. So we can actually... we got another encounter with the moon on the other side, actually. Interesting. We could have passed and got an encounter with the moon. It is actually very easy to get an encounter with the moon when you're at Minmus. So you can always plan you can just about always plan a trip to go to Minmus and then go to the moon. I actually never really done that. Okay, we're at 15,000 meters. That's going to be fine enough. We shouldn't. I don't want to pop out of the atmosphere, so there we are. And we're good. So let's go ahead and just exit the influence of Minmus. Before we do, let's make sure we have all the science we need to. Let's take this landing gear up just for fun, not really for any other reason. And while we're here, let's go ahead and do an EVA report. I think we've already done this, but let's just do it anyway. I think we need to take the data. Yeah, let's remove that data just in case, like I said, just in case these science instruments fall off during our re-entry. We'll at least keep them inside the capsule. So let's take all that data. Let's go back in. It still didn't say that I had... extra data. That's weird. So let's do more scans. And let's go EVA again, and let's look at this side and do it again. Let's take the data, because I was pretty sure that there we go, okay, yeah. Because it should offer me to say, like, hey, you already have this stuff, what are you doing? Okay, we don't actually exit the influence of Minmus until we get over here. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Kerbal Space Program, in order not to break your computer, only considers the gravitational influence of one body. So it's either Minmus, or Kerbin, or the moon, or something else. Normally, of course, in like sort of real-life situations, you feel the gravity, so a spacecraft will feel the gravitational influence of the moon, like our moon, as well as the Earth, at any point sort of in between the moon and the Earth. And the fact that these two bodies have these gravitational influence acting upon the spacecraft, it actually means that you can consider you can consider a few points at which the gravitational influences balance out, and you can actually have really stable orbits. These are called Lagrange points, and I do wish that we could have those in Kerbal Space Program, because they're like good places for satellites, because they sit there and they can be an awesome place for a satellite. There's 5 Lagrange points, but we can't get into that, and we can't do anything there. I'm just gonna warp over to this place. We can't use Lagrange points in Kerbal Space Program because the gravitational influence only of Kerbin is accounted for at this point in time. And if we had a satellite that was in an orbit of Kerbin, it would only be considering the gravitational influence of Kerbin. Therefore, there are no Lagrange points. Sad, but that's okay. So anyway, let's go a little further. I don't want to go too far, so let's warp here. So we are... Now let's go orbital velocity, yeah. So we are 2 million meters still, but we are looking back at the planet Kerbin. Where is the planet Kerbin? There it is. The big thing that we're approaching. This is, of course, warping 50 times the speed of warp. So we are there, and we're coming in pretty hot. So what do? Well, we have some liquid fuel left over. I mean, we're coming in at like 25,000 meters a second. We'll be going at... usually it shows us. I thought it would show us. But anyways, when we're close, we wanna try to get a little bit closer. Let's try to get our altitude maybe under... about 250, maybe 200,000. Yeah, let's go about 200,000. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so about 200,000 meters, and now we're getting close. Let's go ahead and point ourselves in the retrograde direction. Just kind of find that retrograde. There we go. And then what I want to do is I want to put myself just a little bit radial and mostly retrograde, and I'm going to burn right here, and we're going to see the apoapsis go down. We're going to keep our eye on this periapsis, though. We don't want this to go too low. So we don't want it to move around too much. I do want to move it up a bit, if I can. So I'll just go up a bit. You see how this is coming up? If I go down here, it starts to go down a bit once I get closer to retrograde. So I do want to put it up. I don't want to put it up to about, like, let's keep it about 15 or so. This is fine. And as you see, this is coming in, apoapsis is coming in, and we are able to slow down our velocity a lot by using the remaining fuel that we have on board. Okay, there we go. So 5,000 is a little low, but that's okay. We should be fine. Alright, so now we don't need this section anymore. I'm going to wait until I get a little bit closer to the atmosphere. But we are more or less on our way home and pretty good and happy. And I don't think there's much of anything else to worry about here. Now, we are going to lose everything here, so there is no scientific instruments we care about. Right. And let me just point myself this way so that I make sure that this part of the spacecraft goes away from me. It's actually a pretty important thing to consider, because sometimes it does not. If you're traveling this way, the other part kind of doesn't really move much. Alright, so we're just about into the atmosphere. Let's go ahead and do that. And now let's point ourselves retrograde. And you know what? We're close now. Let's retract this antenna. I don't think we need the extra communications array portion. Put on that surface, and let's go ahead and do the retrograde point. Retrograde, so that our butt is now hitting the heat shield, is now absorbing all the stuff. Oh, I guess they do. They have this a lot bigger now. Ah, cool. We are looking good. And our ablator is, well, it's up here too, but I like to have this separate because it's fun. So, okay, we want to look for those heat bars because sometimes it'll show up in heat bars. We're probably going to get some explosions as this debris burns up. It's there. It's hanging out. It's still about 300 meters away. We will definitely hear the explosions. It will explode at some point in time. We'll hear at least one. I will keep SAS on for the time being, just because I think it'll be safe to do so. Well, we might land in the desert. That's pretty cool. Ah, there it goes. It's falling. Oh, it might just crash into the ground. All right, well, that'll happen too. Oh, there it goes. Woo, there it goes. Okay, I don't see any heat bars, which is good. Always a good thing. Wow, this debris might be going back into orbit. That's nice. It'll eventually, land and whatnot. But oh, wow, weird. Anyway, well, also because we are slowing down. Yeah, I can't even see the. Oh, there it is. Wow, it's already 5 kilometers away from us. Holy crap! Yeah, it just skipped right off the atmosphere. That's amazing. We, however, are not going to. We are going to land this thing. This is definitely, as you see, there's no possibility of skipping at this point, which is good. And we are in safety land. So let's take off that SAS. I don't care about it right now. And we're good. We have plenty of heat shield left over. We're just sailing around. We're hanging out. And what's nice is that we can do EVAs. Now, we can do AVA right now, but we're going at 600 meters a second. Jeb may not be able to hang on. He can, however, hang on when you're nicely floating in a parachute. So let's let me just increase the speed here a bit so that we can open our parachute. Let's do it now. We'll wait until we get a little closer. And then we will open up the chute and do an EVA while we're flying at Kerbin, which is pretty cool. Hold on. Give it time. Give it time. Holy crap, come on, open up. There you go. Alright, so let's do an EVA right now. We're only going 6 meters a second. Jeb is hanging on for dear life. He's like, are you kidding me? Really? You wanted me to get out of this thing? We only get 5.6 science, but hey, it's a thing that we don't have otherwise. Yeah, we don't need to take that data. I don't think so. Let's take it anyways. Just in case. It doesn't ever hurt anything, so let's go ahead and do that. I don't like to do any warp, any time warp while we're hanging out to the outside, because, yeah, there could be problems. And I also like to remove the warp once we land. Okay, so here we go. We're landed. Now we can also do an EVA here. We already done this before, I think, but that's fine. We can also plant a flag, but it doesn't really do anything. We're not going to plant a flag. We're just going to recover our vessel and see how much science we actually got. An amazing amount, probably. An amazing amount of science. An amazing amount of science. We have 750 science. Holy crap. 720 were earned. This is amazing. And that, my fellow fans, and Jeb got some experience now. He's level 2. Congratulations, Jeb. That, guys, is going to Minmus, and this episode is pretty long, but thanks for watching, guys. We're going to, in the next episode, decide what else we can do here in our space center. We can actually start to I think we can do a satellite mission. I think so. We can recover some guy from orbit. So there's actually a lot of things we can do now, and we will be embarking on that sort of stuff around the planet Kerbin in orbit. And next episode, I will see you guys. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and take care. Bye-bye.